Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 137 of the All Dolphins podcast on this Friday morning, November 24th, 2023. And I make sure to emphasize that because there are some people who do podcasts who would be stupid enough to say 1963 for November 22nd, like somebody who wears a blue hat with an Expos logo on it. Yep, I did that. Anyway, very quickly, it's going to be a brief episode here on this Friday morning with all the latest developments ahead of the Dolphins' Black Friday game against the Jets. Very quickly, number 37, J.B. Brown, cornerback, Maryland, 12th round pick. Very solid player, good starter, teamed up with Troy Vincent for a couple of years. Very nice player.
Don't remember
Troy
Vincent.
Okay, so let's attack very quickly. We're going to get to the nitty gritty on this Friday. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this report from Tom Pelissero of an NFL network, which is not exactly shocking. He's reporting that rookie running back Devon Achane is not expected to play against the Jets. That certainly would make logical sense considering they activated Darrington Evans off the practice squad on Thursday. And Omar, you wrote a column for alldolphins.com on the significance, importance of Jeff Wilson Jr. stepping up. And there's the reason why.
Yeah. Even before that, I expected Jeff Wilson to be in the rotation and be utilized last week against the Raiders, but that wasn't the case. He was inactive, a healthy scratch. And that really led to a soul-searching experience for him. A mentorship talk from his mentor, Raheem Mostert, and really, a vote of confidence and an endorsement from Mike McDaniel earlier this week. Jeff really hasn't been utilized that much this season. Part of that is because of injuries. Part of that was because he's working his way back into football shape. But then Devon Achane came back and he was a healthy scratch. And we all understand what that's about. Devon Achane has been the rookie sensation. Obviously, he's been dynamic in terms of what he can do to the Dolphins offense. But Jeff Wilson was the number 2 of this offense in the second half of last season. A very productive back, actually contributed more than 1,000 yards when you put together his statistics from the San Francisco 49ers and the Miami Dolphins. And he's just looking to get back into the rotation, get back into the mix. But right now, it looks like this is going to be a backfield that is Mostert and Jeff Wilson's for at least this week against the New York Jets. So it'll be interesting to see what he can add to the offense, what he can add to the dynamic of this team. I view him as a respectable NFL player, a pretty good inside runner, decent hands. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he helps this offense, because right now, the offense is kind of going on a downward slide.
Yeah, and here's the thing against the Jets, too. And the Jets statistically are not as good against the run as they are against the pass. And part of that byproduct is what I discussed earlier. It's the effect that they're kind of playing from behind quite a bit, and they were always giving the ball back to the opposing team because their offense is so bad.
And they are third worst in the NFL defending the run, 137 rushing yards, 6.20 yards per attempt, which actually isn't bad when you consider most of those bad teams allow but basically 4.8 yards per attempt. But that's
it's 4.0, right? You said 6.0. It's
4.2.
4.2. Okay, no, I thought you said 6.2. I was like, whoa, no, that's not good. 4.2. Yeah. And usually what happens is the Jets defense wears down, and I think you could see this is going to be a case. We're warning you right now. Why is it the Dolphin running game can't do anything in the first half and it gets better in the second half? This is exactly that kind of game where it could happen, because the Dolphins eventually will wear down, or could wear down, the Jets defense with their running game.
On the flip side, the Dolphins have to contain Breece Hall, which is pretty much the only offensive threat that the New York Jets have. And right now, the Dolphins are 6th defending the run when it comes to yards per attempt, 3.8 yards per carry. They've tremendously jumped from worst to 10th in the NFL in defending run, allowing 99.2 rushing yards per game. So right now, the Jets seem like they're going to have to play into the strength of the Miami Dolphins defense, which is running at those interior defensive linemen and those linebackers.
Yeah, and maybe they'll do an awful lot of quick passing. Their offensive line is bad enough. I don't think they want to have Tim Boyle.
Are we going to hear a booty cheeks?
No, I think I have to retire Booty Chick for a little bit because I'm getting some flack for stealing your line and now saying it too often.
Oh,
So,
come on. It
okay.
is an all Dolphins line.
Oh,
It's
in that case, yes, the Jets' offensive line is Booty Cheeks. Okay, that's a
yeah.
very good point, and I appreciate you doing that. In the holiday season, I love it.
They're going to be playing with one bona fide starter on their offensive line. They're on their 8th offensive line combination. Miami right now is on their 7th, expecting Rob Hunt not to play. He's probably going to be active, but he's not going to be playing.
I was gonna address that a little bit, and this is part of the moves the Dolphins did not make on Wednesday when they elevated Darrington Evans. They didn't elevate Jason Hines for a second consecutive week.
Yeah,
which certainly could be viewed as an encouraging sign that Lester Cotton and or Robert Hunt will be able to play. We also have Austin Jackson and Teron Armstead, who both are questionable. They didn't elevate. I don't even know who they have a tackle on the practice squad. They have Keon Smith on the active roster and Kendall Lamb, of course, who can play if something were to happen to one of those guys. I would expect in the end, it wouldn't shock me. Sorry?
They have the 7th round pick, Ryan Hayes.
Oh, Ryan Hayes. Okay. But again, had there been concern about both Jackson and Armstead, to me, chances are they would have elevated one of those two. So I think it would not shock me. I think Lester Cotton's almost a lock to play, and Robert Hunt I think is. In fact, the only player the Dolphins listed as doubtful for this game was Robert Jones. Everybody else is questionable, and that includes everybody we saw. They're all offensive players. Everybody we saw on the list this week, other than Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, and Braxton Berrios, who did not game status designations, meaning they are playing.
Durham Smythe, to me, is one of the biggest concerns about this game. We watched him practice. Still has a noticeable limp. Obviously, the Dolphins would rather him be rested probably for this game, but it'll be interesting to see what they do in regards to the lineup. I would think he's an important player just because of the whole cleanup aspect. But then you're going to have to ride the Julian Hill express. I think
we got a second express.
Julian Hill had a pretty respectable rookie season. Obviously, the fumble last week was not ideal, but you'd want to give him an opportunity to redeem himself, and I definitely think he has a talent to redeem himself. I think that this is a week that you could probably rest Durham Smythe one more week, allowing that ankle injury to heal up properly. And considering this Friday night game leads to basically a 4-day weekend, don't expect this team to resume activities until maybe Wednesday. This will be their final opportunity to get guys rested for that final stretch in the season, where I believe that they want to make a postseason, setting themselves up for the postseason to host games as opposed to just getting in the dance.
And since we're talking offensive line and we mentioned the Jets offensive line earlier, we should know that they indeed did activate veteran tackle Dwayne Brown off IR. Mekhi Becton's questionable. They also didn't rule out anybody. The only one they listed as doubtful is Michael Carter, their DB. They elevated an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman off the practice squad, and they also signed somebody to the active roster, an offensive lineman, and I apologize at this particular time. I don't know their names off the top of my head. They're not necessarily recognizable players. They are to their family and friends, but sorry, from Miami here. So I don't know necessarily what that says about Dwayne Brown. There was word out of New York that possibly he starts at left tackle. Could be Billy Turner back in the starting lineup for the Jets, our former Dolphin 3rd-round pick. He's got a finger injury, missed the last game. Who knows what that's going to look like? And to your point, the only one that's really there from the start of the season is the guard Laken Tomlinson, former San Francisco 49ers.
Who Mike McDaniel has some history with.
Right.
So from his days with the 49ers, it'll be interesting to see what Tim Boyle has blocking in front of him, and also what the New York Jets game plan is. As we know, the Dolphins defense has been humming as of late. They're ranked number 12. They've got everybody healthy. They've got both their starting cornerbacks out there, and they are trending up since Jalen Ramsey's come back in the last 3 games. They've been a top 5 unit in terms of points allowed and yardage allowed. So let's see if they can continue to be stingy and continue to get that ball to get turnovers from that ball, turnovers in the game. Tim Boyle, the Dolphins have a 5-1 record against inexperienced quarterbacks going back to 2021. And Tim Boyle is definitely an inexperienced quarterback. I got this stat from CK Parrott, who no, I'm sorry. Apologize. Wrong person, wrong stat. Actually,
The 5-1 stat you didn't get from CK Parrott, my friend.
What'd you say? No, Oh, you really want credit for that stat? Okay.
No, but don't give it to somebody else.
No. I didn't give CK Parrott that stat.
Oh, what's the other stat you're throwing out?
I was looking for something on Tim Boyle, who's got a ridiculous amount of turnovers going back to his college career. But I cannot find it. But it was very interesting to see him see that he's got a significant amount of turnovers in any opportunities, even going back to his college career. So it'll be interesting to see if the Dolphins can be on the positive side of the turnovers. And also, we all know that Tua and the offense, they've got to cut down their turnovers to give themselves a better chance. But, this game should not be that hard, considering everything that you're facing, everything that you're going up against, and the fact that the Jets are basically hemorrhaging out blood.
Okay, but I agree with you, but you see, to me, it is going to be a hard game in the sense that it's going to be physical. The Jets are going to play tough.
Yeah,
they do that.
Play tough till the fourth quarter, and
the disparity in talent is just so big. And I predicted on alldolphins.com in my complete game preview, which I encourage you to read, even though I'm going to spoil the final prediction. It's been out there for a day now. Like, I had a final score of like something like 23-7. Unless the Dolphins hand the Jets points, I'm sorry. I look at that Jets offensive line. I look at Tim Boyle, all due respect, and I just can't wrap my head around the Jets having success offensively. Like, if the Jets, I would put the over/under Jets total yards at 250. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the NFL stats, 250, you're basically leading the league, or you're in the top 5. So, and when basically your new quarterback's best strength is he's familiar with the offense and he's not Zach Wilson. There's nobody who's going to say, well, no, he's got a lot of poise in the pocket. He's got a very strong arm. He's athletic.
No, he's just not Zach Wilson.
There's none of that. He's not Zach Wilson, and he knows Nathaniel Hackett's system. So again, the task number one, it would be great to see the offense blow out again or especially on the road, like 400 total yards would be great.
Yeah, but this is a team where you're probably not going to be able to run into the meat of their defensive line. So you got to do those outside runs. And I don't know if this offensive line, they're kind of a patchwork right now. I don't know if they're built for it. So you got to figure out a way. And that's probably leaning on Tyreek and leaning on Jalen Waddle in the passing game. So it'll be interesting how this game plays out.
What I was going to say is, to me, task number one for the offense is don't give the Jets
life
possessions in scoring territory. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Other than that, should be handled. And I want to very, very quickly look back to the Thanksgiving Day games. It was one of those days. Not one AFC team was involved in those, so it wasn't like any other games helped the Dolphins from the standings. However, it could have some sort of like little impact on the Dolphins, because there's an awful lot of rumblings out there that maybe Ron Rivera coached his last game after the Commanders got spanked by Dallas. No, but it's not, doesn't change it. It's a fact
next week. Yeah,
correct. We'll look at it next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm 1 week at a time. Obviously, the Dolphins got to take care of business here against the New York Jets.
Thank you, Mike McDaniel.
Back after the game, recapping everything. You know where to find the work for free. I've got a column on the offensive line. I've got a column on Jeff Wilson. Alan Popard is going to give you stories all day on alldolphins.com. And we will be back after the game, immediately after the game, wrapping up what our thoughts and expectations were for this Dolphins-Jets game. And on that note, we will see you later.